Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to my review of the brand new film Logan, which just came out in theaters last weekend. Obviously, most of you guys probably have already seen the movie already. I just got back from seeing it, and definitely not quite what I expected in terms of. I don't know. This movie just felt a lot heavier in terms of its emotional beats and just the story itself. It just felt like I knew more or less what was going to happen. I mean, I didn't. I mean, some people online spoiled the ending for me. And just FYI, I'm just gonna go. This is gonna be a full spoiler review. I'm not gonna do spoiler, non-spoiler, just because everyone's probably already seen the movie by now. So just like I was saying, I was already spoiled in the ending. People on Facebook who are just assholes online saying Wolverine dies at the end, just ha 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 ha, and just I hate people who do that shit online. But I mean, I had a feeling that Logan was gonna die at the end, but it still sucks having that spoiled for you. There's a lot of this movie that I was glad to see as an X-Men movie fan. This movie tied up a lot of things for sure. Obviously, just this movie focusing on the relationship between Logan and Professor Xavier, as well as introducing the new character of Laura, who is obviously X-23. And seeing them, and this is more or less like an action-packed road trip movie, and that's kind of what it is. It's very, very, very R-rated. Like they took the R rating and they full on went with it. There's so much blood and violence in this movie, and so many F-bombs dropped. It was just definitely not like what I would have expected after seeing the original X-Men movie back in 2000. And first thing I gotta say is James Mangold did an amazing job directing this movie, because he directed the last Wolverine movie, which was just titled The Wolverine, and I didn't hate that movie. I just feel like it's ultimately kind of forgettable. It just I liked it, I just didn't love it, and nothing about it really wowed me. I mean, I just watched it as an X-Men movie fan, and obviously I liked Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's gonna suck because this is supposed to be his last run as Wolverine. And so that's been the hardest thing for me to accept, is because he's been Wolverine for so long, and to go out like he did in this, and just in a very emotionally charged story, and I just feel like there wasn't a moment in this movie where I felt like I was bored or I was waiting for the ending to come. Like there was just so much going on between them being hunted by the Reavers and the company that was responsible for making the Young Mutants, including X-23. And I like how the organization, I think, is called Alkali or something, and that's obviously a nod to where Wolverine was created in Alkali Lake. So I did like that throwback. And also, I did like the little bit of a throwback to X-Men 1 when they were talking about what happened at the Statue of Liberty, which of course is from the ending of the first X-Men movie. And of course, with this movie being supposed to be in continuation from X-Men Days of Future Past, obviously X-Men Days of Future Past reset their X-Men timeline because everything was getting convoluted, and frankly, I think this filmmaker just wanted to forget the crappy movies that were made in X-Men 3, The Last Stand, and as well as the critically panned X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, so they can have a new, fresh timeline, especially with now they're making newer X-Men movies with a young cast that started in X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men First Class and stuff like that. So obviously with this, so they never made clear what X-Men events have happened in this new timeline. So when they referenced New York in the first X-Men movie, it was a little curious because so are elements of the original movie still there? But they're talking about Wolverine being a cage fighter when Charles found him, and they also did the events in New York. Those are obviously from the first X-Men movie. So maybe there's nitpicking with story elements that weren't they weren't too super convoluted, or they were ruining other aspects of the story or making things again just too complicated. So and as a fan, I liked the Easter egg for that and the nod to that. I'm just because of the X-Men in this timeline is just so confusing. It's a lot to keep track of. One thing I gotta say is Patrick Stewart's Professor X in this movie. I think this is the best job he's done as the character, because he didn't they didn't have the character hold back. He was cussing. He was calling out Logan when he was trying to just abandon Laura, and he didn't really care about Laura, and Charles kind of was the emotional center of this story. He was the one who Laura was able to connect to in the beginning, and he's the one that's kind of like keeping Logan grounded as a character. So for me, as I'm watching the movie and just seeing them, and then when they go to the one family's house for dinner, and they're all acting like one big happy family on this road trip, like that was the one moment in the movie. It gave the movie a second to breathe, and you feel like, again, just, like if you feel just I don't know, it's hard to put into words. Just if you feel like happy about where they are at that point, because obviously you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know that within like minutes that Charles was going to get killed, or that whole family was going to get killed, but to have that bit of breathing room within this story, I thought it was really nice, and I just feel like Patrick Stewart gave us again one hell of a performance as Professor X. And he also came out and said, this is his last time portraying the character, and I get it. He's getting really old, and obviously they have James McAvoy portraying the young Professor X, so now they don't necessarily need Patrick Stewart to come back. But much like with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, I do feel a little sad that they're both going to be gone now. Yeah, but thank you, Patrick Stewart, for everything you've given us, and I hope you have a great rest of your career, because you've given us an amazing character in Professor X, and especially in this movie. One big stand-up for me in this movie was Daphne Keane as Laura at X-23. She was an amazing character who, for the most of the movie, she didn't really say anything. And that kind of made the character more interesting because she only had those those interactions with Professor X, and not too much with Logan. It was after Charles was killed by the Wolverine clone guy who was the secondary antagonist throughout the movie. It gave like her moments with Logan towards the end, and once they were able to connect with all the other kids from that mutant program that the company was working on. Again, it just feels like her and Hugh Jackman had really great chemistry. Like, you bought that they were like father and daughter, even though obviously they weren't father and daughter in the normal sense. It was still, you felt that familial connection between the two of them. That they're both very stubborn, hard-headed, but also are going to do what they have to protect the people that they care about. And that's what one of Wolverine's things in this movie was. He went out of his way to protect Professor X, even though Professor X was in the last legs of his life. And also, I want to bring up, Caliban in this movie. He was in my opinion, he was underused because he was taken by the company, and then he ended up killing himself by, using the grenades the same night that Charles was killed. I really liked him in this movie. Obviously, we saw Caliban as a minor character in X-Men Apocalypse. And I feel like I said a lot of articles and stuff online. It's like, why is it so like people are so confused as to why Caliban is in this movie when he was in X-Men Apocalypse, and it's like that's literally like 40 years in the past. So why is it a problem if he's here in Logan when he was there? I don't understand people's confusion with that. I know the X-Men timelines are confusing, but in that aspect, I don't know why people are confused as to why Caliban is there. And I thought he was used for the first 30 minutes of this movie. I thought he was used really well. I really wish we got to see more of him, because he seemed like a very sympathetic character. Logan went to go find him to help him with Charles, and what Charles is going through with all the seizures and stuff like that. And also, we find out in this movie that they don't say it explicitly, but I think Charles was the one responsible for the death of the X-Men. Because they talk about pretty much all the mutants being gone and the X-Men being gone. But there's one news report when they were talking about what happened in Westchester, New York, or whatever, where the X-Mansion is, that they made it seem like Charles was responsible for them, and that's why they pretty much have been on the run this entire time. And for me, that's just wow. Now I buy why they're on the run. I got it to begin with. I didn't need that I didn't necessarily need that to be explained, but it just makes the story even more emotionally heavy, because Charles is carrying this burden as well as Logan, because Logan is trying to kind of keep Charles from remembering that. So that's where I really felt for Charles in that moment. Once I found out, overall, I feel like this movie again was really depressing, and the way it ended, we finally see the death of Wolverine, and the moment and his final moments with Laura. I thought those were really well done, It was a really emotional story. There's a lot of great action in this movie, but I think the emotional beats are what make this movie a great movie, because you got a hell of a performance in Hugh Jackman, as well as Patrick Stewart, and the newer younger actress in Daphne Keane, who portrayed Laura. She did an amazing job. The villains were so, but it was those three characters and Charles, Logan, and Laura who made this such an amazing movie. And the story itself, just overall, I really loved. And it's a great send-off to the characters of Professor X and Wolverine. It's kind of sad to see them go if they don't ever come back to the X-Men franchise. And yeah, I just hope that the best for them, and thank them for their their 17 years of service to us fans. And yeah, so with that being said, that's going to be it for me, guys. Obviously, I love the movie. For those of you guys who have seen the movie, what do you guys think about it? Sound your thoughts in the comment section below, and give this video a thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button for all the other content I'll be putting up on my channel. Tonight, I'll be reacting and reviewing to the brand new Wonder Woman trailer that's going to drop online sometime in the next couple of hours. You guys can check that out, as well as all the other videos on my channel. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, have a good one.